Lollie, and thank you for joining us today for our Head Start Inspiring Girls in AI project. We're going to get straight into our interview, and we'd love to start with some insight into your background in terms of education and professionalism.
Yeah,
Take it
thanks
away.
very much. I went back to college at 35. So I spent a decade traveling around the world. I'm an anthropologist, so that was inevitable. I did 30 countries in 10 years and then came back to Ireland in my early 30s and thought I better get serious about a career. It's one of those sort of pre-children wobbles that you have, but actually you can pivot your career at any stage. So I know now that that was, not necessarily the only time that I could have done it. I went back to college and started a PhD. I had a child at the same time. I thought it was going to be a great mix. With the clarity of hindsight, not necessarily, but I did get to spend the first 3 years at home and study. And then also on top of that, I graduated with my PhD in the 2008 recession. So I had to start businesses. So I'm both an academic and an entrepreneur. And now more recently, the last 5 years, I've morphed from social justice, equality into innovation. And the reason for that is I'm a bit of a social commentator on how society is changing and the cultural landscape change. And the biggest change at the moment is technology.
Yeah, exactly. And can you tell us, okay, it's very prevalent, as you said, in society at the moment. And was that the main factor that led you into your career in ICT or AI?
No, it was more that I could see the tech companies dictating how we adopted certain technologies. And I know that the human element is absolutely fundamental to the design of them. So, for example, that we are becoming natural born cyborgs with our phones. Actually,
Yeah.
Gen Alpha at the moment has a little curved little finger from holding the phone in a certain way that they hold it like that. So, in evolutionary terms, we are already connected to
Adapting.
technology. So I started joining activist and advocate groups for humans plus tech rather than tech into human about 5 years ago, just purely from an activist standpoint of regulation, human rights, and equality. We still have
Yeah.
2.7 billion people in digital darkness and this big digital divide that is ableist and ageist, as well as all of the other ists and
Yeah.
sexist and homophobic and all the biases that are there. So I started getting very concerned about what I could see coming down the road if we allowed the tech companies to dictate to us the way that our world would be shaped. So it just seemed natural progression.
Yeah, super. So in terms of challenges on your journey, what were the biggest challenges you faced or are facing when it comes to career progression?
Yeah, I think it's probably that you are the mistress of your own destiny, right? So in some ways, we look for a linear career path when we're told at school there's a certain way of doing things. The biggest skills at the moment and moving on that we need are curiosity, problem solving, a healthy mistrust, so discernment of thought that comes from critical thinking, but also the ability to be autonomous and work with technology. So that's a big challenge because I'm currently in my job at the university in UCD designing courses for the workplace of the future that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So I know those skills to be absolutely fundamental. And what that means is that we cannot all be software developers and working in tech solely. We need historians plus technology, philosophers plus technology, artists,
Balance.
philosophers, all of this. So where we flourish as a society is the fact that current conversations that industry is having, a lot of people in tech are starting to get very freaked out about the fact they thought that was all they would be doing. And now they see AI replacing a lot of those jobs. So it's the constant reinvention of yourself, constant upskilling and relearning that's absolutely fundamental, but also not to think, oh, I am a something lawyer, whatever, and that's it, but to actually have a look at some of the other avenues of where you can join up in some of those partnerships. Some of the most interesting conversations I'm having at the moment are with people outside of technology about technology. So I think it's really important to stay just sort of nimble, really, and
Yeah,
agile, is the
yeah,
expression.
super. So do you think, was it ever a challenge for you to have your qualifications or expertise recognized by others?
I've seemed to shoehorn myself into things. So I'm like, I'm an anthropologist, therefore I'm going to be talking about humans and whatever it is.
Yeah,
Um, and so I think it's really important for people to have a personal brand as well as an organizational identity, more and more so. So I would leverage LinkedIn. I'm a queen on LinkedIn. I'm just always on it. It's
yeah,
the number one thing I'm doing. I'm posting and looking at other people's content and building that community. That's been essential to my career progression
yeah,
and for most of my students. So my students, undergrads all the way up to sort of postgrads. If you don't have a LinkedIn shop front, you cannot get noticed and seen. And that's it will change, but at the moment, that's the number one
yeah.
place you should be.
I
Yeah.
know. Do you think our education system supports female integration into STEM and ICT roles?
I think we've done very well in Ireland, and we were very smart to put such an emphasis on STEM subjects way back when we started. I think there are still enormous challenges in Ireland in the entrepreneurial sector, even outside of technology. We've only 20% of female founders. In deep tech, we're looking at 2%. And if you're a woman of color, not point,
Yeah,
so it's there's huge challenges as to the dominant gender. But I think in terms of that, it's also about accessibility and this idea of leveraging what feels like imposter syndrome to propel yourself forward.
yeah,
So you I would say seek out other ecosystems. I'm working with a group at the moment called Tech Found Her, trying to advocate for more women and to be funded. But then it comes down to also career gaps, childcare. There's no tech accelerator in Ireland that offers free childcare.
I
How can
know.
you go to work? So at the same time, also entrepreneurialism is a really, really good way of women funding themselves in multiple ways. So it used to be called a sort of side hustle, and now it's just multiple businesses.
Yeah,
But there's so many problems to be solved in society. I would encourage most people to try on the entrepreneurial mindset and say, okay, I don't feel like an entrepreneur, but can I start a small business that's going to support me as well as my day job?
yeah,
And see which way it goes. So we have to be smarter than we have been in the past. It's not just one path into one career in one way. In my case, I call it a squiggle career, but in corporate terms, a portfolio career. Try lots of different things on for size, and then see if you can find partnerships to build businesses. And that's the most important thing, I think.
yeah, yeah. So you've answered the next question, which is skills and competencies. So you're saying go down the entrepreneurial route,
Absolutely.
support yourself, and multitask, which
You'd be
we know we're
astounded
good.
how many tech companies don't have a founder with tech expertise. They just had a really good idea and a great
Yeah,
CTO or a fractional CTO to come in and help them. Start with what you know and start with the problems that are around you on a daily basis. And also, women in tech at the moment are, it's not just it's not just hormone issues and med tech in terms of that. It's everything you can imagine that's unaddressed, but it doesn't also have to be prevalent just for women to be in business. You haven't got to sell to other women. So think about all of that. I would start journaling all of the problems in the world that you see, and is there anything there that you might be interested in solving? Start there, and then find really good people. And that's through incubators, ecosystems, meetups. And there's lots of them at the moment all across Europe. We've never had more funding for women. It's just difficult to get them from the idea stage into prototyping because of the challenges that are happening in terms of their age or other life, like the sandwich generation, women in their 40s and 50s who are stuck between young children potentially and older parents. So they need different help. And I'm working at the moment with a few groups around sort of trying to help other women become angel investors to support other women. So it's kind of this knock-on, pass
yeah,
it forward effect. And that's really, really important, because a lot of VCs, venture capitalists, will actually turn down women without a man on their team, which is like, what is this, the 1950s? So you're playing to a skewed crowd. So you have to do it differently. So, all power to us moving
yeah.
forward.
Again, you've kind of hit on the next question, which was opportunities and resources. So again, for specific opportunities and support systems, you'd
Each
recommend
other.
journaling, find where the problem is and try and find a solution for that, basically.
Find your tribe, find your people.
Yeah,
It goes back to that old anthropological adage that it takes a village. you know, nothing's created on your own, and it's really lonely, the entrepreneurial route, or it can be. So get a really great team. But I would say also, when you're starting out, like, reach out to people on LinkedIn, you know, reach out as much as you can. We're really an amazing community of people that help each other all of the time. And most people will do things for free if they can see that there is some way that they can help you or connect. I spend probably at least an hour a day connecting people on LinkedIn. You know, they just,
Super.
I had someone the other day going, I'm thinking about a wearable solution. You know, is there anyone you know in wearables? I posted it out, then I connected her to another female founder that's working in wearables. That's the way the system works for us to engender each, you know, each other as a community.
Women empower women.
It's really, really important. And you'll find that the women that have gone through the process of the alchemy of creating an idea into something will always help other women. So, well, predominantly.
Yeah, look,
So,
you're doing this for us today, so we really appreciate
you're
it.
very welcome.
And
You're
I
very
know we're short on time. Have you any parting words that are any advice specific to young girls thinking
Yeah,
about a
you can
career in
do
AI?
anything. You could do absolutely anything, you know. So just all that negative self-doubt that we all have, you know. I have a colleague, and she calls her Susan, and she sits on her shoulder, and this little imposter syndrome goes, you couldn't possibly do that. Look at you, you don't have the capacity, etc., etc. And she literally goes, shut up, Susan. Just like, we all have it. You know, so just start connecting to other people and realizing that we've all been on this journey to some extent. There is nothing more exciting than creating something out of nothing into a business that will support you and other people. It's the most incredible experience. It's literally pure alchemy. It's turning an idea into gold. But also, we in Ireland have a culture really of resilience and failure. We see failure as shame and stigma when a business fails, and I've lost a few along the way, you know, but that's just a learning experience for what you won't do next time. So
Exactly.
just get back up and do it, but connect to each other. It's really, really important. Find your people, and then it'll all kind of, the magic will happen.